And yes, I want to be recorded. Well, I don't want to, but I will be. I'm willing to be recorded. So this is the Angles with Angela. We still have a few more people joining us. I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to go in the order that you are on my screen. So there's only, at this point, 7 of you in this room. So Teresa Guia, I'm going to start with you. Teresa, probably.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa Guia, and I am transition specialist at Malcolm X, one of the 7 city colleges of Chicago.
Okay. So you and I have emailed probably in relation to IET grants last year.
Probably not quite, but I was at Prairie State before that. I've been at Malcolm X for about a year now.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But there are a lot of Teresas in my department, so that could be easily confused. So no problem. Nice to meet you, Angela.
Nice to meet you.
Everybody else.
Derek Schreiner. You're muted. If you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay, maybe Derek got in and then stepped out. Elizabeth Tharp, are you there?
I am here. Hi. I manage the VITA volunteer program and the literacy program at Oakton Community College, so part of the adult ed program there.
Okay, cool. Jeff?
Hey everybody, Jeff Campbell. I am at Lewis and Clark Community College in Godfrey, and I'm the director of curriculum and instruction.
Okay. And I'm really glad you said that because I had you as someone else. I had your name in my head as someone else. So I'm really glad you clarified. I was like, oh, that's not who I thought that was.
Well, I did from SWIC, so maybe that was part of it.
Could be. So Derek put in chat that he's from Waubonsie Community College, Assistant Dean for Business and Career Tech. Sorry, the PC doesn't have a mic. I totally get it, Derek. If you were in the CTE session with me, you heard my dog barking and my daughter talking at the very end of the session. So we're going to work with whatever technology we have. So Derek, you're welcome to type in anything into the chat box that you want. Stacy Lomax. You may also not have a mic, I don't know. Stacy, if you cannot speak, can you type into the box where you are and what your position is? Trisha Wagner, I'm going to move on to you.
Hi, everybody. Trisha Wagner. I'm with Rock Valley College Adult Education. I'm the director of Adult Ed ESL.
Okay. And then Julie Frost.
I'm in District 214 and 211, but for District 214, I'm working with the healthcare bridge that we're trying to create, and we have a manufacturing bridge. No, I'm sorry, an ICAP program for manufacturing too.
Yep, okay. I say that name looked familiar, so that's probably why I recognized your name. And Stacy put in the chat, sorry, she has a new PC. Well, good, but the mic is not syncing. Oh, lovely. Stacy Lomax, Transitions Coordinator in Adult Ed, Oakton Community College. Okay, cool. And then I have a Torin. Are you able to unmute yourself and introduce us? Nope, he left. He, she, not really sure. Okay. So we're gonna, really my goal here was just to be able to answer questions that you have about ICAPS. If you have any, if you don't, I have some questions that I want to throw out to start something if I need to. Do any of you have any burning questions that you just have to know at 3:35 on a Wednesday afternoon? I figured not. So I'm going to share my screen so we can see a couple questions that I had. So I'm going to start with, what kind of partnerships have you been able to build at your college? And I know some of you are at a high school district, so hold on to those. But those of you that are at a college, with your ICAPS program, what departments, who have you been able to build partnerships with through your ICAPS experience? Who wants to start?
You talking here at my college?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
at the anybody partnerships at the college. We'll start with that. Yes.
okay. With our healthcare program, putting students into CNA classes, we are giving them support classes while they're taking CNA. So hopefully when they get out, they pass the CNA exam and then get hired in the healthcare field.
Okay. So have you been working with the nursing department to make sure all that happens, or do you have to deal with the registrar's office or
Nursing
advising?
primarily. Registrar from the or enrollment services from the standpoint of getting the students into those classes, but yeah, primarily nursing department.
Okay, because I think a lot of times we think about those obvious partners. At the CNA class, you got to work with the nursing department, but you also have to work with those enrollment services people to get the right section built or to find out how all of that works and do all those kinds of things. So there's lots of other partnerships that can happen at a college as well. What about a couple of you are from Oakton? What's happening? What kind of partnerships have you been able to build at Oakton within your college?
Hi, I think Stacy is the one. Stacy and I work together. I haven't been part of this process yet with ICAPS, so I was asked to join, but Stacy I know has been working on some things.
Okay. Is Stacy on? Because I shared my screen, I can't see. Wait, can
Yeah,
I maybe?
She's
Oh,
chatting.
Okay. Oh yeah, she's. And how do I get to the chat? Okay, Kirsten, I may need your help reading chat because I can't see the chat when I share a screen.
Okay, no problem.
I don't think. I'm trying, but I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of people have that issue. I can, when I share my screen, I can always see the chat, but I'm also on a Mac. So, but I know like Amy and Brittany have that issue because they're on PC, so.
Oh, wait. Nope. Oh, wait. Yes, I found it. It's at the top.
Yep.
Aha. 1 sec, typing. Okay. So I'm going to go to Teresa. Oh, wait, Stacy. Teresa, I'm coming to you next. So
Okay.
Stacy said she started her position just before COVID and she was meeting with the city of Evanston, National Able for WIOA. Okay, good. So you're reaching outside of your college as well, which is also another that leads to what Jeff was talking about was what are you talking about just within the college? Because again, you want to build these partnerships within the college, but you also need to be building relationships and partnerships outside of the college as well. Teresa, what about you at Malcolm X?
So for me, our IET and ICAPS program kicked off in healthcare at Malcolm X when I started last April. And we had a special grant, so the funding was there to pay their credit portion of their classes. However, we did have to make sure we partnered up with the registrar's office, advising, financial aid, not so much, but just to make sure that if the student was going to continue on with classes beyond their CNA, that they were set with that. We also had to partner up with the nursing department and their instructors, making sure that their instructors were meeting our bridge instructors and everything was lining up. Let me think about, I think National Able was not brought in until about the second go around with this because that's where we needed the actual funding to support paying the classes.
Okay, right. Okay. If anybody happens to hear what sounds like snoring, I apologize. My dog is asleep in the same room as me and she snores really loudly. I'm not sure what to do besides wake her and she'll just go back to sleep. Stacy also added that she was the instructor for the support course attached to the CDL program that was just completed, and I think that counts as internal. Sure it does. Sure. Any place that you can help build partnerships and go that route is going to be helpful. So the other question that I had, can you guys see all of the question? Or is the bottom right blocked?
I could see it.
Okay, good. Because I know when I pulled up my chat box, it probably showed as a big black square in the middle. I tried to move that to the side, but my Zoom is, I've got it in the bottom right. And anyway, so what kind of partnerships have you been able to build at your CBO, ROE, or high school district? So I'm trying to, who was at 214? Julie is at 214. Yes. So what kind of partnerships have you guys been able, how does that works differently than a college, because you don't have all of these people just sitting there waiting to help you figure out financial aid. So what do you guys?
Well, we've been trying to build a partnership first just within our own high school district, because we've always been a separate entity and not really connected. Okay. So the first thing was, can we use their facilities? We've gotten permission to go into like the manufacturing lab, and we've been able to use the facilities. We brought some things, like we were able to get a micrometer for the lab that they didn't have one, and so we shared it with them, and that was really big. They've got some really old machines, so our instructor wrote about why they need to be updated and not just repaired. Sure. So they're going to be getting some new machines. So we're trying to establish a partnership just within our own district first, to be able to use the facilities. And then as far as the rest of it goes, hopefully then we can branch into, can we use their college and career services that they use for the high school students? Are we able to get into or access some of that, which we have not done yet? We're building on that part next.
Okay, good. I'm trying to remember, where was Derek from? Derek's from Waubonsie. So Derek, can you type into the chat what kind of partnerships you guys have had at a college? I didn't mean to skip you, sorry. And then who else is on here? Hi, Bevan, I'm glad you could join us.
Wrapping up with David Alt.
I understand. So is all of Adult Ed done, or did they all run late?
Kathy's doing her meeting right now.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know if I should expect a sudden influx of people, but okay.
I can chime in for sort of both. I'm from a community college, Rock Valley, but we have a very close partnership with a CBO in our area.
Oh, good.
The Literacy Council, they often refer to us for ICAPS or bridge programs. However, we're forging a very wonderful new opportunity. They're developing a bridge to IT. We have 3 ICAPS programs, IT, network technician, mechatronics, and industrial welding. And the IT program, they are building a bridge to IT that we're hoping our students can also participate in at multiple levels. So we have bridge programming, but having 2 providers that could potentially be offering these students the wraparound services and the academic services, the bridge programming, is a pretty exciting thing. Yep. We notice, and also it connects them to the college pretty closely, because one of the partnership features that we've always noticed is the ICAPS programs work the best if we can get, not only like make the partnership, but get to be pretty good friends with the people in these departments. So for example, our mechatronics program, they love us because we're one of the main recruiters for them. Our students constitute more than 50% of their population for mechatronics, and they're building the program. So it's very mutual. And then for example, in IT, we have, our instructor has forged a very strong, colleagueship with those instructors. And so through us, now the CBO gets the benefit of those relationships as well, and can basically promise students the same pathway that any of our students have. So that partnership is exciting and hopefully developing and growing, and it will be sort of a benefit to all the adults in our community that might want an IT track.
Okay, good. And those partnerships are exactly why those additional partnerships, those secondary partnerships, are why those initial partnerships are key to start with. And that's one thing that I know I've heard from several programs, is they have to have a conversation with the CTE side, because the adult ed doesn't know what CTE is doing, and CTE doesn't know what adult ed is doing. And that totally makes sense, but somebody's got to start that conversation, and you start there with building the partnership. And then like you said, you can go to the CBO and they can draw in some students, which may refer to your bridge program, which helps your adult ed numbers, but then you can also forward them onto the CTE side, which helps build their numbers. And guess what? We're all working together with higher numbers, which is really the goal of everybody, is to have higher enrollment. And, oh yeah, the students get a benefit from it. So, you know, there's all those good things. Derek said that he started at Waubonsie last year. There was an ICAPS that ended right before he got there. They were supposed to start another one. It didn't make it off the ground. So he's really just to hear he's in this conversation just to listen and hear what is happening successfully with other groups. And that's totally fine, totally acceptable. So that's the first question. Second question, third question. So here's a question that I hear, I put kind of a little bit of a caveat on. So what struggles have you had, but you have found answers for with moving your ICAPS to online learning? And we can take this off of online learning if there's other struggles you've had with ICAPS, but you found solutions to, all of those. But this transition from, you know, CNA in labs, welding in labs, mechatronics in labs to online, is it an option? Have you been able to do it? How have you made it work? And again, I also know this could change by college, district, where a CBO, wherever it is you are, make some of those decisions internally themselves. So, Trisha, you're the one I can see right now at the top. So I'm going to start with you this time. How did you guys, have you been able to transition to online? Are you still working on it?
Oh boy, yeah, definitely a challenge. We actually were extremely pleased. I mean, it's super heavy lifting and a big team effort, but we had, among our 3 ICAPS programs in the spring semester, we had 8 ICAPS students. And one of those students actually left the ICAPS program because she chose to pursue a different AA, which we were happy to help her with that move. And then of the 7 remaining, all 7 stayed with us. We were able to retain them and enroll them in fall programs. And then we added another 3 additional students. So
oh, good.
I would say, you know, ICAPS during COVID, it kind of slowed everything down because trying to sell the ICAPS program is a challenge to begin with, because we're drawing people into college that maybe hadn't thought about themselves as college or certificate, you know, pursuers. So it's difficult. And then, you know, adding on top of everything else, their own life craziness and the fact that this instruction is going to be mainly online is an even more difficult sell. So I think that the tricks that kind of helped us to help those students to persist as well as gain 3 additional students was, well, our transitions coordinator simply rocks. I mean, she's just amazing. And her communication strategies are, I mean, just out of the ballpark. She keeps in very close touch with them, communicates with them multiple ways. She does that mom thing where she's always on them about deadlines and what they need to do, and you know, listening to the struggles. They very much have an advocate and a coach in her. The struggles our students are facing have not diminished. If anything, they've increased. So it has gotten much more difficult. So there's not like a magic bean here that's solved the problems. But I think if we can persist in our strategies, and if we can help the students to persist through their challenges, it should keep the ball should keep rolling. We have a lot of information very clearly on our website and in our marketing materials, and we try to share as much as possible with other parts of the college, like testing and you know, assessment, registration, financial aid, so that as people do have these issues that we could support, we can receive them. But yeah, I think everything takes twice as long, and if we're willing to do that, just that willingness to put in the extra effort has yielded some successes.
Good. Bevan wanted to know what ICAPS programs, again. I think she wasn't on yet when you listed
Oh,
your
sure.
three.
Yeah, Rock Valley. We have IT, a network technician certificate, industrial welding, and mechatronics.
Okay. Anybody else have any struggles with ICAPS and particularly moving to online and what you did to get through it? Because I think that's what most of us did this spring, was get through it. We didn't necessarily beat it. We just survived through it and did the best we could.
So one thing that was challenging for us at Malcolm X College is because we are, our bridge is into CNA, and the students are required to have at least 20 hours of clinicals in person. So that kind of created a bottleneck as we transition students from the first 8-week semester to the second 8-week semester. So what I had to do was make sure that we set up a cadence for our students as we continue to move them forward in the transitioning program. I mean, in the ICAP program. And so we created a roadmap, and then we also created Google numbers, because I feel like we need to meet the students where they're at, and we know that they're not checking email, but they're definitely checking their phones.
Yep. That doesn't change. My
Yeah, so
14-year-old
their
is the
Google,
same.
yeah, yep. And the Google number was, we were able to keep contact with a lot of students and then really help them how to, you know, navigate Zoom and all of those other great things.
Okay, I am not familiar with Google number. What is that?
So there, sometimes staff may be hesitant to give the student their official number.
Okay.
And on Google Voice, you're able to create
A different number.
And use your same phone. Like in the app, you'll be able to receive phone calls and text messages, voicemails, all those great things.
Okay. It's
Sorry,
just like
my daughter from school, so it might be a little bit loud.
There you go. It's just an alias number, or I can't think of
Yeah,
that
it doesn't,
word,
nope, it doesn't track it or anything, and it rings just like your cell phone and all that. So it really helped us, because it's like, hey guys, I sent you guys an email, so please check it. And so they saw the text message, and then they would go, you know, and check their email. So that was the hard part of transitioning, but we are on our 4th goal with this bridge program, and I'm so excited because we're starting a add-on certificate with patient care tech that allows the students to receive an additional certificate for phlebotomy as well as EKG. So that's exciting.
Cool. So have you been able to get your students back in for their 20 hours of lab? I just lost it, not lab time. Clinical hours? Or, I mean, has that been able to restart, or is that still on hold?
Yeah. So what happened was they have 40 hours that they have to do in our program, and 20 of those hours were virtually with the assistance of the CNA instructor. And then the other 20, until we weren't able to move on those students until, I want to say, halfway through the summer, because of the regulations that we had with the COVID-19 in the city of Chicago. So once the clinics and our partners started accepting students again, we started to schedule those students. However, we did not run, Malcolm X in general did not run credit classes for CNA because we didn't want to have a huge backlog of students that needed to get into clinical.
Okay.
Yeah.
But are you starting that then back this fall?
Yeah, actually our first cohort is only going to be for the non-traditional students, and that one's going to start October 19th. Our CNA classes are 8 weeks long, and the first 8-week semester for this fall was also canceled, but we will be starting back up October 19th.
Okay, good. I just know I'm in Springfield, and I know Bevan's further south, and so I know everything in the state changes by county numbers and how it what those look like. So that's where I'm like, what do your numbers look like today? Because that changes by maybe next week. So, and you're not alone. I know there was a lot of students that were hit with that clinical hour requirement of how are we going to do these clinical hours when the hospitals are closed, doctors' offices are closed, facilities are, I mean, everything was closed. And that was full CNA students, that was partial CNA students, that was nursing students. I mean, it was everybody. And so I'm glad that you guys kind of thought ahead and tried to prevent that huge backlog of students. So good.
Hey, Angela.
Yes.
One of the biggest struggles that I've seen here at Lewis and Clark, and this is across the board, and that is, for whatever reason, it is easier for my students to not show up, to maybe turn off their camera and walk away for a while and not participate. And so engaging them and making them want to be there on time and participate, even in a program that says you have to be here, you know, your attendance has to be 100% or whatever. It is just too easy for the students to find excuses or reasons to not participate, and that's difficult.
So how did you, I assume these attendance requirements didn't change from on-person to virtual?
Correct.
So what was the motivation to show up in person on campus?
You know, that's a good question. And outside of an ICAPS setting, this is a bridge setting where students receive a stipend to be there. And so if they don't put in the hours, they're not getting a paycheck. Well,
right.
For whatever reason, that wasn't enough to get them to keep coming.
Okay. So that didn't work either.
Yeah. So,
you know, so what have you found a solution to this, or are you looking for solutions?
I'm looking for a solution.
Anybody out there got any brilliant ideas? I mean, the stipend you would think would maybe pull them, but
yeah.
Do you think it's just the ease of logging in, shutting the camera off, walk away? I mean, at least when they have to go to campus, they have to get on the bus, they have to get the car, they have to do something to physically go there. They can't just walk out of class at any point and leave, where if their camera's not on, and I know, you know, some people have, I've been in meetings where they've said everybody has to have their camera on. Well, that's great unless your camera doesn't work, or you don't have a camera on your laptop. That's not an option. Or you're sitting in a room where there's 8 other people trying to do school or work or watch TV or play with a dog. And so you're like, I don't want my camera on because that's going to be a distraction for everyone else. So there's that. How do you do that? So some of you others that have had online, what have you run into the same issue? Have you found got any magic beans for Jeff?
I don't think I have a thing that Jeff hasn't already thought of, but we've had a similar issue, not necessarily in Bridge or ICAPS programs, but kind of across the board. We've had students demonstrate difficulty focusing, and the stories are getting hilarious. We've had people shopping at Walmart while they're on Zoom. We've had a makeout session on Zoom.
With the camera on?
With the camera on.
Oh God.
Yeah, and you know, and actually we've had several shopping trips. It's been interesting. So we realized that we need to set expectations that we never would have thought we needed to say. And our expectations are, you must, if you're gonna be in this class, you must be at a stable place, meaning a desk, a table, a chair where you are sitting and focused, because you know we all know that none of us work well, you know.
Right.
You can't, and we're specific, you can't be driving, you can't be shopping, you know, you can't be gaming or watching TV, you know, and the students are good, they comply, you know, but we just didn't know that we had to say that.
Right.
Or hanging in your pajamas.
Right.
Well, the Springfield School District, I live just outside of Springfield, and the Springfield School District this year at the beginning of the year said kids had to be dressed, they had to be at a desk and a chair, they could not be on their bed, there were several rules they put into place, and some of the families came unglued. It was absolutely not fair to require the kids to put on pajamas. If they were covered and clothed, who cared? Some houses don't have a nice, neat, clean kitchen table that the kids can sit at. Maybe the bedroom is the only place they have away from the living room TV, you know, all this. But the issue also came up that there was a Zoom meeting that a kid was on, and mom apparently walked out of the shower with very little on across the back of the camera. Well, I mean, that's not the kid's fault. And the adult's just not used to thinking, oh, there could be a camera on me. So, I mean, how do you punish the kid for the mom not thinking well?
Stacy said, I don't know if Stacy can't talk, but Stacy said in the chat that they do weekly check-ins with them on like virtual coffee and conversation time with their students. So that might be a possibility. So I don't know that her microphone is working, but she put it in the chat. I thought that was a good idea.
One thing that I would like to, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
Stacy has a laptop that doesn't have a mic. Okay,
Oh,
Teresa, go.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm like, you went, okay.
She says she's had more than, she says she's had more than 70% attendance.
Good.
And it's not new. No, she said, no, it's new. So sorry. No, it's new.
All right, Teresa.
Okay. One thing that has been helping at Malcolm X, we've been able to have that 80% retention, is to set the expectations from beforehand. I don't know who mentioned it earlier that their transition specialist takes like a motherly effect. Some of these students are not even as young as we think they are. Some of these students are, you know, maybe older than us. And I think when we set the expectations, as well as give them the expectations for themselves, we held those students accountable. Every semester we have a mandatory orientation where we talk about, yes, this is mandatory, you have to be there. And then I said, you know, especially the community that we serve, space may be an issue at home, so I understand the camera being off, but I said, okay, we need to see your thumbs up, we need to see your clapping hands, we need to see you in the chat box, I need to see some reaction while we are connected with you. And I will be following up with your instructors to make sure that you guys are attending, because this class, this program is going to better your life for a number of reasons. And by one major reason is providing you a livable wage. And, you know, so when you set that expectation for students, I think sometimes people think or assume that they should know that, but I don't think sometimes people sit down and really talk to them. Another thing that we did is kind of like the weekly check-ins. We have Transition Tuesdays where we offer different workshops. We did a workshop on self-care, and you wouldn't believe the response that we got in the from the moms that were part of our classes. They went ahead and created a mom group, and how do we support them, and how do they support one another when their kid is trying to talk to them and they're trying to get them on online learning, and then they're trying to get themselves on online learning. So those are a couple other things that have helped us. Another thing was having the students write a letter to themselves at the beginning of the semester, and then sending that letter out. Of course, this was when we were in person, because there's no way they're gonna mail you the letter and then you're gonna mail it back. So it was a little bit more difficult this time around. But we wrote letters to themselves so that halfway through the semester, we will send that letter back out. So for those students that dropped, they could read that letter that they wrote to themselves. And that brought a lot of the students that had dropped from our class back, because they said, you know, you can let other people down and not feel so bad about it, but when you let yourself down, that's when it's like a reality check.
So you said you probably wouldn't do that on paper, but you could do that via email, which is currently
we did do that on paper.
Snood.
Oh yeah, an email, that's a good idea, but we did do it on paper. I'm sorry, I meant to say that.
Right, no, you said it was in person, which I was like, okay, it's in paper. But again, that's the same kind of thing that you kind of got to think, okay, we still want to do that. How do we do that now? Okay, we do an email, and maybe you teach a lesson on email, because email etiquette is something that a lot of students don't have. I'm finding with my 10-year-old and my 14-year-old, they email the teacher and go, I don't understand the assignment. Sign their name and go. And I'm like, which assignment? Which class? What are you talking about? You need to give. And they go, oh, I don't want to type all that. Your teacher doesn't understand. I don't understand the assignment. Unless you say history assignment, the math assignment, the PE assignment, whatever it is. I can't find, and they're like, oh yeah. So again, while we probably assume that a lot of that's kind of common knowledge, maybe not so much. Stacy, the question I had for you is your virtual coffee and conversation check-ins. Do those count as class hours? Are those extra? Sorry, my ICCB hat is plugging in right now. How do those hours count? And I'll let you type that in. I saw a new name on the list. I think Robert Enzeld. Are you able to unmute and talk to us? Or are you able to add in the chat who you are, where you're from? We've got a couple that have mic issues, so they can't, but you're welcome to do that, Robert. I'd love to see I'm curious who else here and what's going on. So Stacy said those hours did count towards their hours, which gave them motivation to check in. So again, it just keeps that clock rolling. So if it can give them something else to do. Yeah. Jeff, did you find some ideas out of that one? You can give me a thumbs up if you want.
Most definitely.
Good. Good. Because that was where I started with this question, was what struggles have you had? Let me start with ICAPS online, but any other struggles? Funding, I know you can ask me funding, and all I can tell you is there's a few grants and braided, and we could spend all day talking about grant funding, but funding's funding. It's a struggle.
I have a question, not funding,
sure,
related. And Beth and I'm glad you're here because maybe this would be something that you could help us with too. But honestly, one of our biggest ICAPS challenges, which is a surprise because ICAPS obviously is the best deal in town and every student should be so thankful for every darn bit of it. But we have a really hard time motivating them to engage in the support class. They will like the credit classes, they like the assistance, but to get them to do that extra class, and I should add, we have, of our students, we have some that need the GED, so that's easier because then we're helping them with that GED skills. But for our English language learner or our adult ABE deficient, where we're just building skills that are kind of unrelated to the class, maybe, or work skills, soft skills, that kind of thing, they really take it or leave it. They would leave it. And
you could contextualize that support course. I mean, well, essentially, if it's language wise, and they're trying to learn language and they don't see the reason why they should attend a support course and the language, you could use that and contextualize it to that sector.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to give the wrong impression that it's not contextualized, because it certainly is. And but there
no, I understand that, but I'm saying more like for the language, so that they perceive they're getting language instruction as well as in that support course.
Right. And just to be, perfectly honest, our struggle is more with the adult basic learner. That once again, we would like to contextualize those basic skills, but a couple of questions. Any suggestions you have for increasing the debate? What we have to offer in that environment would be helpful. And then also, is there an hour minimum or maximum that we need for the support class, Bevan, or is it? Can we design it? If we have students that are really kind of doing all right and they just need a little structure to assist with the workplace skills, the structuring of assignments.
I don't believe that there is a set time length on a support course.
Okay.
But I think that if you tie it to the fact that they're going to get a grade in that CTE program, and
right.
you might actually open it up to other people that are in there. If it's a separate, if you have another cohort of people that are non-adult ed in there, you might bring a few of those individuals in that might need some support in backing up and talking to that instructor to see. And if they see that it's not just them, but some of their cohorts that are in there with them, that it might be, oh, this is not so bad. This is not like for the dummies.
Right.
Doing well
Yeah.
in class, because that's how they perceive that. They perceive it that's why you're having trouble with them, because they're seeing that, well, I'm having trouble getting this, and that's why they're putting me in this support course. But I think that you might consider talking to the instructor and saying, are there some other students that would like to attend this for a little bump up what's going on in their class? Do you have some students that are struggling that may not be adult ed, but you want to make sure that you have the majority of them be adult ed students, but you want to open it up.
Right.
And if you did, then that would take away a little bit of this, might take away some of the stigma
Sure.
that they are associating with that support course, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, that could definitely help. And I'm sure there are other students who would benefit.
Well, a lot of programs actually do open it up to CTE students that may need a little bit of bump up on a writing piece or a math piece or something that they're addressing in that class. And so I would have the instructor talk to their team teacher person in CTE and see if that is an option. Make sure that that's an option. And if they say, hey, you can get a little bit of extra, support here if you want to attend this, then you might remove some of that stigma.
That's great. Are there any standard curriculum that people use, like workplace skills or something that can help?
There's a support course syllabus that is on the ICAPS website, Tricia. I think Elgin put it on. You might check the ICAPS website and see that. But there's a support course syllabus that actually is on there. You might check that out.
Can offer some structure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trisha, I've got two other things. In terms of the ESL, my background is in ESL. So if you find it's more ESL related, you could almost make it as a language class or pronunciation class, because most ESL students, they want to practice saying it correctly. They may know this is a phone, but is it a phone or is it a phone? And they just want to say it over and over.
Right.
And medical words, oh my God, I can't say them. So I need to practice as much as everybody else does. And, our patients have to be able to understand us. And if we have a different speech pattern, we may just need to practice vocabulary. We need to practice these words every so often. And you go that route.
From Latin.
Well, the other thing that I've seen happen is the support course is somewhat wedged between the other required components. So if they know they have to be there for CTE class from 8 to 10, and then they have their college success class at 11, put that support class in there from 10 to 10:45.
Sure.
Because if they have an hour that they can go chill in their car, it's really easy to drive that car off campus and not come back for college success class either. So if there's a way to kind of put that, and if you have to do it in 30-minute sections, then maybe that works better, is to do 4 30-minute sessions instead of 2 1-hour sessions, or, I don't know.
Right.
Kind of like what Reese was talking about this morning. You may have to think about what's best for your students and not your instructors. I know instructors would rather be there for an entire hour on 2 days instead of 30 minutes for 4 days. But if the students are going to do better with 30 minutes for 4 days, how do you make that happen?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, our cohorts are interesting because we have one cohort that's really ESL learners, highly motivated, no problem. We have one cohort of GED students that are going to struggle to get the GED. Those are our welding students. And then we have one cohort of students in mechatronics that are pretty much sufficient in all areas, but the college skills, the life skills, they are interestingly all college people who have been in college before and have been unsuccessful. And now we're trying to make this happen for them. And so it's these three we're talking 11 people, and there are 3 extremely different groups.
Yeah, the other comment you can take a look at in chat.
Incorporate some essential employability skills in your support course
We'd
as
love
it relates to to them getting jobs outside of that.
We'd love to do that. And I'm on the hunt for resources for like a core curriculum or something that would make it a little easier for the teacher and not needing to, research a bunch of things that might be more disconnected.
Right.
Bevan, where is that employability skills from ICSPS? I never get those letters in the right order.
ICSPS.
That's the one. I was it's late on a Wednesday. What are those letters?
Actually I think it's on the ICAPS website. If not, it's on the Transitions Academy website.
Okay. And that's employability skills, and it lays it out in modules, and you can pick and
essential
choose.
employability skills. No, it does not lay it out in modules.
Oh, I thought it did. Okay.
No, it does not.
I'll trust
Did you say it's on the Transitions website?
I think it's either on the Transitions Academy website or the ICAPS website.
It's probably linked at least on both.
Look, I'm going to exit full screen and go look.
Okay.
So Tricia, the other comment that Stacy put in chat was that she changed it from coffee and conversation to coffee and complain, which, people need, at this point, people need to vent somewhere. So good for her. The other thing she said, she got her students to attend the support class because she was attending their required course. So when they saw her in their course virtually, they went, oh, she's doing her part. I got to do my part. And they were more likely to show up because they had that connection with her already.
Can you hear me now? I think I fixed the mic issue.
Woohoo! Stacy has a voice.
I have a voice.
Is this good or bad?
No, it's good. It's good. I just actually am using a Bluetooth device to bypass the PC for now. So I did do, at first I called it Coffee and Conversation. I did. And like others, just going off what everybody else said, the initial issue with student attendance was their lack of digital and computer literacy. I had no idea that very few people didn't understand where to find an attachment in an email, let alone how to view or download it. So it turned out that I started becoming the technology coordinator because I had to literally give visual workshops on how to do things on Google. Literally, some people did not have email addresses. How to work with Google in the suite, like, not forms, but the Google Sheets and what's the docs, things like that. It was a lot of how-to, and then of course, like I said, Coffee and Complain, where they were allowed to share their grievances and their frustrations, and it also gave me the opportunity to share the partner resources with the city of Evanston, the village of Skokie. Some folks had a lot of issues with paying their utilities, their rent, and being able to help them guide them to do an internet search, to be able to find out nonprofits that can help with rental assistance. It was more of like caring for them. Like I think somebody else mentioned, in that motherly role where you can actually help them stay as a whole human being so that they're more a productive student. So if you all are familiar with like LIHEAP and ComEd's energy assistance, the food banks, and how even to find the one that's in your area, it was a lot of guidance with that. The CDL itself, because that's the only class that I've been a part of since I started in March. No, I started in January. COVID happened in March. The amount of resources that they had to funnel through in order to stay above water so that they can be a productive student is what I helped them with in the very beginning. And as I got to know their stories, they trusted that I would help them through it, so that so they didn't see the support course as that's just for those people. They were preferred, and actually I got 3 referrals from those students because they were like, I heard that you did real good with the program. So I actually got 3 referrals for students that are interested in the next rotation because of the amount of support that I gave them, and they obviously trust that I will be there to help them not just be a productive student, but a holistic person in the midst of COVID.
Good. And that's, I think, a lot of adult ed programs a year ago, 2 years ago, were doing a lot of those wraparound services, but we were all doing it in person. And when everything shifted to online, we had to figure out, if we weren't already fluent with online, which some of us were not, we had to figure that out before we could share that with our students to help our students do well. And I think it was just this lag time. So a question for you guys, are those of you that are going back to in-person this fall, are you planning on doing any computer type training in your courses now while you have them? So if you have to go back to virtual, they know how to do Zoom, they know how to do email, they know how to do attachments. Have you considered adding that in, whether it's during orientation or the first 2 weeks of class, anything like that?
Yeah, we have. We're 100% online or at a distance right now. So there's, you know, we're just teaching them as we go, as we do it. But we think in the future, 2 takeaways from this are, if we get to be live or for face-to-face in the future, we would plan to, for example, for ESL, we're using Burlington English. We'll continue using that and having them do homework that way. So we're perpetually having them work in that to have a technology portion of the curriculum. We'll probably go back to our regular curriculum for, you know, maybe 75% of the teaching, but then do this component. And we also have learned that it's a great idea for many, many reasons to, from the beginning, teach students how to use Remind and how to use email. So those will be part of the essential lessons that we'll start out with, and just kind of give them skills, and when we'll have them accomplish some work over email, and through Remind we'll have them do some regular communication so that they're actively using it to learn. So hopefully it will be meaningful, a little bit contextualized there. But absolutely, it's very much shaped our view of what's needed in our classroom.
If any of you are not familiar with Remind, it's another version of Google Number. It's a phone number. It's an app that you can use that you can communicate with students either in groups or individually. I've used it in my class, and it was prior to COVID, and it was super helpful. I could remind them, remember, we don't have school tomorrow. It's Martin Luther King's birthday. Stay home, don't come out.
And
You'll
the
be
students
alone.
love to text, and that's just how they want to communicate. So it helps do those little basic things.
And for ESL students, they were like, hey, fix this English for me. Okay. So, Jeff, are you guys in person, or are you guys still online?
We are online. There's a few classes campus-wide that if they're small enough and they require lab types of things, then they can be on campus in a socially distant format. But for the most part, everything that we're doing is online or at a distance.
Okay. So are you guys also training as you go at this point?
Yes.
And did in March as everyone else, trained as they went?
Well, I tell you what, it was 2 weeks of fast and furious Blackboard and Collaborate and Zoom, all of those.
Yeah. But now that you have them, they could be good resources to use within a classroom.
Yeah.
So while we all said, you can't do this online. Yes, you can. Yes, we did. Yeah. We didn't have a choice. Teresa, did you start to say something?
One thing that we started doing at CCC in general was doing online orientations for technology in English and in Spanish, since those are our 2 biggest languages that we serve. And those have really helped also with, you know, making sure that we partner our students with IT when they are having the problem. And we were thankful we had some donors, so we were able to rent out the laptops for, like, the Chromebooks for the students, as well as hotspots. But I think we were on contract for the hotspots, so this semester we didn't have as many as we did when this whole pandemic hit. But I know that they have something called Essentials from Comcast, which is a $10 internet basics, and a lot of our students were able to benefit from that program as well. And we're 100% remote as well until January thus far.
Okay, good. So question, are those IT trainings for your adult ed students specifically, or is that something that IT is doing campus-wide?
No, for adult ed students specifically.
Okay. Because while, again, we think that the campus-wide students don't struggle with it, they do. I mean, they, again, prefer to text. They don't want to email. Some of them don't know how to send an email, don't know how to send an attachment or find an attachment. Julie, did you have something you wanted to add? We saw your face for a minute.
Well, I guess because the other meeting finally got over, I've got control of my camera back.
Oh.
So anyway, I was just going to say that we were working on some of those same issues that we've been, right now our manufacturing program is coming in to the manufacturing lab. The school will let us, because we are down to, I think, 7 students. So they're able to finish their NIMS credentials. So they had taken the exam and passed it in June. We invited them to come back for this session starting on August 17th. And then the teacher has been going over the hands-on portion of it,
Okay.
so that they have a full credential now.
So this is finishing spring?
Yes, we
Okay.
mixed the 2 classes together. So I have an incoming class working now, but only of 3 or 4 students, because again, we had difficulty getting students. Last year I had a lot of students. I think we had 17 to start with in the fall. This year we only have 3 to start with in the fall, but we're hoping then to be advertising more, maybe reaching out to the manufacturers themselves and sending flyers to put into their lunchrooms and so on to advertise the free programs, and then get the 3 credentials in 16 weeks, and hoping that will help us in January.
Okay, good. Okay. Bevan, I see that you found some websites and you shared them in the links. Thank you very much.
Yes, they have it actually in CNC, DEA, HVAC, and welding. They're from Elgin. So if you, at least it might be something that you could look at and kind of like take a tack off of for whatever yours are, Tricia.
Evan, is it possible for you to share your screen and go to that? I went to that and I wasn't quite sure which link you were meaning. It took us to a page with
well, let me get
if you can.
I'm gonna put my last slide up here. There you go, my name, my email. If you need it, feel free to shoot me an email, ask me questions, whatever you need to do. I'm not saying we're done. I'm just looking, well, I'm looking at the clock and now it says 4:30 because I was looking at the wrong clock earlier. But if you've got questions about getting any ICAPS programs approved, some of you already have approved programs and that's great. Some of you are working on building them. If you've got questions about approval, shoot me an email. Say, hey, I've got questions. What do I need to do? I've got a document that I can send you that I use to go through all the parts and pieces to make sure it's all included in your narrative. I mean, it's all pretty obvious stuff. A syllabus for the support course is one of those things. The syllabus from the CTE course that you're pairing with is one of those things. So, it kind of depends on how long everything is. I've seen as short as 4-page proposals, and I've seen as long as 20-page proposals. But it depends on how long those additional documents are, where that fits in there. Some of the information also asks for some charts from, not necessarily charts, but labor market data. Well, if you're a chart person and you put 3 charts in and that takes 1.5 pages instead of 4 sentences, there's a significant difference in page length. So, all right, Bevan, did you find them?
No, I had it and now I can't find it.
You could probably email it to us or to.
Well, I have the link.
Yeah, the link is awesome, and I can, scrolling through that, I just didn't know which exact one you were seeing.
I believe it's under. Well, here it is. It's under when you go to the link, go down under team teaching.
Team teaching. Okay. Is it possible for you to share your screen? You just walk.
Well, let me just see if I can.
Because I stopped sharing, so you should be able to.
Okay, let me see if I can get. I have to get out of.
Make you a co-host.
Hang on. Right here. Can you see it?
Bevan, I have to make you a co-host. Now you can share your screen.
Okay. Now I have to hit share screen again.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
For Pete's sake.
hit share screen and then there you go.
Ah,
There you
she's got
go.
it.
Okay, it's right here.
Wow, integrated outcomes examples, and there's our
Yes.
syllabus. And so there's
See, it
welding.
says support course syllabus, welding support course syllabus. See that?
Awesome. And what
So,
about
Bevan,
DEA? What
Can
is
you
that
scroll
one?
up to
I
the
think
top?
that's our dental assistant
Dental.
program.
Okay, okay.
Okay, can you scroll up to the top, Bevan, to show them what the top of that page looks like so they know where they're at? So it's in the toolkit up on that. I'm pointing at the screen, so
It's
you
in
can
the
all see
ICAPS
my
tool-
finger.
It's in the ICAPS toolkit, and
The
there are
green
three
box at the top in
there's
the right
three
corner.
categories. It's planning, resources, administration, and then there's team teaching, career development, transition, and team teaching. So if you
Perfect.
click on team teaching, which is the third one down, then you'll have to go scroll down, but it's right there.
Nice. And I bet you're right. I bet we could adapt, take the welding one and adapt it a bit for IT.
That's what I'm
here.
thinking. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that
Yep.
might be beneficial. Okay.
Yeah, very nice.
Okay. Well,
Thank
now
you.
I gotta get out of here so I can quit sharing my screen.
That's right. The
Yeah.
only thing you can share at this point is online because that's the way it works. Okay, so do you all have any other questions for me? Anything else you want to ask about, talk about? Some of you joined us later from one of the other meetings, which is totally fine. It's 4:30 and you're all ready to be done.
Don't y'all like my nice cardboard thing covering up my heat vents?
That's
What is
lovely.
it?
Sarah told me I had to use a virtual background because I use cardboard boxes to cover up my heating vents because it's hot in the wintertime.
So that's a virtual background?
No, this is my actual background. This is my office.
Okay.
This is a real life
It
background.
my
looks
office.
nice. It looks like it could be a virtual
Sarah
background.
told me I had to use my virtual background because you can see the cardboard boxes over my heat.
Oh.
I didn't even notice it, Bevan. Tell
I
Sarah
told her, I said, nobody's gonna know. I said, I can sit like this.
right? Nobody can see it. So there's no other events or anything else going on tonight. Is that correct, Bevan? Everything else starts tomorrow
Nothing
morning at
tonight. Everybody's
8:30?
signing for trivia for tomorrow night because I'm playing trivia and I want to play with some people, okay? It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's like a big Zoom thing where everybody gets to see and then they put you in teams in the breakout rooms and it's really fun. So anyway, and it's free.
Will there be
And
virtual drinks, Bevan, or not?
it's between 6 and 8.
No, she asked is there going to be virtual drinks?
It's going to be family friendly, and you can go sign up on the thing to sign up for it, and then they give you the link. But it's family friendly, so if you have kids and you want them, they come by, they want to play with you too, that's fine, or spouses or whatever. So anyway, it's going to be fun.
It's BYOB.
Yeah, it's BYOB because we're not shipping it out. Number one, we're federal grant program, and that's it. That's prohibited.
Yeah, the ICCB tends to frown upon that.
Yes, that's right.
I probably won't be there tomorrow night because I think we have to celebrate my son's birthday tomorrow night. So
Well, that you're excused for that. Family
he
first.
thinks. He made
anyway,
double digits.
Everybody,
didn't kill him.
oh yeah, cool. Everybody sign up. It's fun.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
but-
thank you. You all should have my contact information at this point. If you've got questions, seriously, shoot me an email. Don't call me on the phone number
Hi, Julie.
at ICCB. It'll be a while. So I hope you guys all have a great forum. I hope you've already registered. If you haven't registered, go register for the forum. It starts tomorrow, 8:30 in the morning, I think is when it starts.
Yeah, I actually have coffee connection in the morning at
Oh, yeah.
7:15.
We have coffee connection in the morning early.
Not a coffee person. That's why I'm like 8:30.
I think we're also Kirsten, don't we also have some other things going on in the morning?
Yoga.
Oh, yeah. There's yoga and there's coffee.
Yes.
Are there scribbles tomorrow morning too?
Yes.
Yeah, scribbles to superheroes. And that way, if you're artistic or not, I think you might enjoy that as well. So we're trying to do as many fun things to make this virtual conference a fun opportunity for everyone. So join in, be part of it, take a picture, post it on the virtual mosaic so we can see everybody when it's all done. I'm looking forward to seeing that too. So.
I took a picture this afternoon of my work partner coworker. It's my dog stretched out on the couch taking a nap. She's like all laid out next to me. I'm like,
There's a
oh.
picture of me with Sarah's dog laying on the couch behind me working. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. You
Thank you,
too.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.